Hi everyone, in today's video we'll see a game that features a knight sacrifice just to allow a queen sacrifice on the next move. Later on we'll see another sacrifice just to pin the opponent's rook, and if that's not enough, finally we get a queen and a rook sacrifice to force a very nice checkmate. This game was played by two fairly unknown Ukrainian players, that's why this game is very often called the Ukrainian Immortal. So here, white started with the move e4, and after e5 and knight to f3, black played knight to c6, and in this very common position, here white played the move bishop to b5, which is one of the main three options for white, the others being d4, planning to fight for the center straight away, or the move bishop to c4, developing the bishop to another very active square. But bishop to b5, which is the Ruy Lopez, also known as a Spanish game, is a very solid option for white. And here in this position, black played the move d6, defending the pawn on e5, which is not strictly speaking a bad move, but it is not the best option in the current position, and it is also not the most common move nowadays. The point is that bishop to b5 has an idea to capture the knight on c6 and then capture on e5. So the main idea of the Ruy Lopez is to put an indirect pressure on the center, but in this particular position, this is not a big threat. That's why here the best way to defend is to counterattack, and the most common moves here are the moves a6 or knight to f6. So knight to f6 has this very direct idea of counterattacking the pawn on e4, and the move a6 simply attacks the bishop on b5. And here white can take on c6, bishop to a4 is more common, and after taking on c6, black's idea is to capture with the d pawn. And here white has many options, but taking the pawn e5 is not a strong move because here white is not winning a pawn, because after the move queen to d4, black has this fork on the knight and the pawn, black gets the pawn back, and a very good position. That's why the move d6 is not the most common move here, because black has more active options, and in this line white will get a slight but a stable advantage, because white here can go d4 straight away, putting pressure on the center, and if black ever captures on d4, after knight takes, white gets more pieces on the center. This will happen later in the game. But here black played the move bishop to d7, keeping the tension in the center, and here white simply developed with knight to c3, and after knight to f6, here white castled, and now black finally released the tension in the center by going knight takes e4. If black captures with the pawn, after knight takes we'll get a very similar position, but I just want to mention that here bishop to e7 was still possible, but after rook to e1, white has this idea of capturing on c6 and then taking the pawn e5, so finally this whole idea of bishop to e5 and taking on c6 will make more sense. So here the move short castle by black is a mistake, but it is not trivial at all. By the way, I have a video covering this position on which white gets a forcing way to win the game in 11 moves, so you might want to check that video later on. But instead black captured the pawn on d4, and here white took on d7, taking on d4 straight away was also possible, and after bishop takes and queen takes, now white captured on e4, and after pawn takes and queen takes, we see that again white gets very good control in the center. Now this queen on d4 cannot be attacked easily. c5 might be an idea, but black has to be careful because that would weaken the d5 square. That's why here black played the move bishop to e7, and here white played the move rook to d1, and here black castled, and even though this position might look quite dull, black still has some problems to solve. Here white has an idea to go e5, black might try queen to e6, but here the move knight to d5 might actually be a bit annoying because taking on c7 is a big threat. And after castling, now white gets the move e5, attacking the knight, and here black cannot capture on e5 because after queen takes, white will simply win a piece. That's why black played the move knight to e8, and now white simply developed with bishop to f4, and black still has some problems to solve because the rooks are not connected, and here I would have probably tried to break the pin with queen to e6, but black found a fairly creative idea, which didn't work, but it was still quite interesting. Black played the move a5 in order to activate the rook via a6. So here after rook to d3, this is a very interesting move, a rook lift allowing the other rook to go to a central file, but white also has very aggressive intentions. This rook might come to the king side in order to attack black's king. So here after rook to a6 and rook to e1, black didn't play any particularly bad move, but his position is already quite bad. We see that white has much better pieces, all of them are active. This knight on c3 might jump to d5 or even to e4, so it's just one move away from getting very active. Whereas black's pieces are not coordinating very well. This knight on e8 is very passive, as it is this rook on f8. Here black finally tried to break the pin with the move queen to f5, and here white played knight to d5, attacking the bishop, bishop to d8. Now white captured on d6, black captured with the knight, which makes sense, this knight on e8 was very passive, and now white shifted to the king side, rook to g3, planning to take on g7, giving a checkmate. That's why black played f6, bishop to h6, planning to capture on g7. The pawn is also pinned, so after g6, white will simply capture the rook, at the very least. That's why black tried rook to f7, and even though black's position looks very passive, black seems to be holding so far. An important point is that rook to e8 is not possible because this knight is actually holding black's position together, controlling the e8 square. And this is actually the main idea, or one of the main ideas of the game. White wants to remove a defender, and white does it in the nicest possible way. So here, if this knight was not on d5, the move queen takes d6 might actually be an idea. So let me ask you in this position how you can clear the way for the queen to be sacrificed against the knight on d6 in the most active way. So you have to move this knight from d5 in a very forcing way, just to allow the queen on d4 to be sacrificed. And the answer is the move knight to b4. Knight to e3 might look attractive, but on the other hand, it blocks the rook. That's why knight to b4 is a very forcing way, because it also attacks this rook on a6. So here black might try to cover the 8th rank with a move like queen to d7, but at the very least, white can capture the rook and get a material advantage in a better position. That's why black captured the knight, but here comes the very nice queen takes e6, offering the queen, which cannot be captured because the idea is to give a check on e8, and after rook to f8, force this very nice checkmate in 2 moves. So this idea itself is already nice for a game, but we'll see many more in the next moves. So here black played the move queen to d7, trying to keep an eye on the 8th rank, and also inviting this queen trade, which white definitely doesn't want to go for. And here white played another very spectacular move, queen to d5, again offering the queen, which cannot be captured because after rook to e8, white will again force a checkmate. But more importantly, the idea is to pin this rook on f7, so now rook takes g7 is a big threat. So black has to do something about this pawn on g7. Black played probably the best try, which is king to f8, again an active defense. If black plays g6, this weakens black's position a lot. White can insist with this idea of giving a check on the 8th rank, so this position is already quite desperate for black. That's why here black tried king to f8, breaking the pin on the rook on f7, and now even capturing the bishop on h6 is an idea. But white insisting with this idea of sacrificing at any cost and went rook takes g7, capturing this very important pawn. And the main idea is that after rook takes, now the rook is again pinned and white can capture the queen on d7. But in this position, black probably thought that now that the e8 square is covered, black could capture the queen, but white finished the game in style after rook to g8, and in this position black resigned, because after king takes and rook to e8, white forces a checkmate after rook to f8 and rook takes. So I hope that you enjoyed this very wild game. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.